Well, hey guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here, Chad. I see Mr. Chad is in the house from the beautiful state of Texas. All right, let's see what's going on. No, let's not do that. No, let's not do that. No, let's do. Gosh darn it, I didn't want to. Um, all right, here we go. How about that? How about that? All right. I was kind of disheartened to see the market sold off into the close. But the good news is it's rallying overnight. So you could see the difference between white and gray. Gray's where the nighttime session starts. You look at last night, it's nighttime session, straight up. So hopefully we'll get a repeat tonight, and we'll open with a big bullish gap. We shall see. So that's S&P futures. So that's how the indexers are doing at this hour. Let's look at S&P futures. Same deal. It came down here. Check this previous point of control, almost to the penny perfectly. They did back here also. Anyway, whatever. So far, there's buyers there, or the trend's bullish. So of course, the trend's bullish right now. So people bought the pullback, in other words. Let's look at Bitcoin futures. Why don't we? All right, Bitcoin futures on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Bitcoin futures also sold off into the close and have rallied into the overnight session. All right, so it's time for the daily factors. Who else? There's only 6 people here. Well, that's fine. That is fine. Everyone's here that counts. We got Marcus here. We got Dividend Degenerate here from the beautiful state of Florida. William in the house. And of course, we've already mentioned Chad. All right. So the daily factor. So tonight's show is going to be S&P. We're going to have a S&P show. I'm trying to think, why did I do this? I saw a Twitter the other day, a tweet, and I wanted to check it out, and I started to check it out, and I got sidetracked, and I never did. But it's a tweet that said T-Spy had the best. It was beating all the other competitors, all the other peers, and I'm sure it is. I wasn't doubting it, but I thought it'd be fun to do it, to look at the spies and see, or SPY surrogates, SPY-based high-yield funds, and see how they're doing on the max factor and on my metrics that I like to look at. All right, so you guys ready? Here we have it, the daily factor. I like these new colors. I wasn't digging the McDonald's colors. I didn't tell them to switch, but they did. And I'm going to tell them to start using these colors. This is a better theme than that. Remember, it looks like Burger King, my old colors. Anyway, whatever. It's always a work in progress. So we have S&P Thursday night. It actually should say the daily factor. I guess it does say it right here. Well, in any event, let's meet our contestants, and let's just go by yield. Let's go from high yield to low yield. Do we really? Gosh damn it. iSpy's messed up every freaking time. Anyway, whatever. It's not going to win anyway, so not a huge deal. But all right. Now, let's start from the highest yield. The highest yield is YSPY, yielding 54%, which is pretty high when you consider the SPY. Generally, these high yield ETFs, they yield about what the IV of the instrument is. So, the IV of the S&P is 12, 15 any given time, 10, sometimes when it's really low volatility, sometimes 20, but, got kind of in that range, 18, 17, 15, 12, 13, that type of range. So what's impressive is YSPY is turning that IV into a 54% yield, 12, that's about a 4x premium on the IV. Anyway, now the way they do that is they sell options on a double levered ETF, so or triple levered ETF actually. Yeah, they sell options on a triple levered ETF. In any event, they do an all right job. XDTE. Now, XDT also earns more. They've also turned a 12% average IV into about a 3x return, a 37%, not return, 37% yield. Big difference between yield and return. Anyway, that's XDT from Roundhill. Then we have WDTE from YieldMax. Or I'm sorry, from Defiance. What am I talking about? And they also about 3x the IV on their instrument. And they turn a 12 IV instrument into a 35 percent yield. They also, the way these guys do it also is they're using daily options and well, with XDT and WDT using daily options, that helps. The way YSPI is getting the extra yield is by selling leveraged options. Then next we have SDTY, about a 23% yield. This is a little bit of a premium, about a 2x premium on the IV of the instrument, which is the S&P, which I'd say the average IV of the S&P is maybe 13 or something, 14. So it's, or not even quite a 2x premium. All right. Then we have SPY-T. Of course, all these are based on the SPY. You figured that out by now. Yielding, I think that's S22. I can't really see. 21.07. Next, we have XPay yielding 19.13. This is from Roundhill. Next, we have T-SPY yielding 13. Tap Alpha. Next, we have SPY-I yielding 11.54 from Neos. Next, we have Big Y yielding 11.45. That one's from YieldMax. Next, we have XYLD. Not technically S&P 500, but it's more like the S&P 50, but I figure it's close enough. Anyway, XYLD from Global X, yielding 10%. FTHI from First Trust, yielding, I think that says 8. JEPI yielding 8. That one's from JP Morgan. SPIN is from State Street, based on the S&P, of course, earning an 8% yield. And then we have SPUT, SPUT. These guys sell put options, S&P put. And they earn a pretty small yield, actually, which means they ought to do great on NAV, right? So we'll see. I either want a big yield or a really good NAV, but I don't want a tiny one of each, Or I want big both, but I realize one comes at the expense of the other. But I want as big as possible. But in any event, and next we have iSpy. Now that there's a number that's not right in here because of something. I fixed it a long time ago, but I guess it broke again. I really don't think iSpy is gonna. iSpy is not bad, but I don't think it would have won anyway. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. So the cheesesteak is that big of a deal? It is worth the hype? Or yeah, I've never had it. I love cheesesteak, but I've never had a real cheesesteak. They have cheesesteak in Oklahoma that's really good. There's a place called Texadelphia. And it was a concept, I think it was from Austin, actually. It was a restaurant, and their concept was they're mixing, it's a barbecue and Philadelphia fusion restaurant. And they would do like cheesesteak type stuff, but they would also use barbecue type stuff. But it's Texadelphia. I think it's out of business now. I love that place. They had great cheesesteaks, but I mean, I'm sure there's a big difference between a cheesesteak based on barbecue from Oklahoma and a real cheesesteak from Philadelphia with Cheese Whiz and everything. All right. So let's talk some more about these funds. Of course, the yield, I mean, the NAV is what really matters. Let's look at some other measurements, though, some other metrics. We were talking volatility. So, the SPY has a volatility. It's the VIX. It's the 30-day. It's the IV is the VIX is basically the SPY's volatility. Each one of these funds has their own volatility, so we can see how volatile they are. So, for instance, YSPY is about a 19 on volatility, so it's more volatile than the SPY, and that makes sense because it's leveraged, right? XDTE is an 18 vol. And that makes sense too because you're using daily options. You get a little bit of extra risk with daily options. Now, WDTE is only a 10 vol. SDTY is an 11 vol. SPY-T is a 12. You can see most of these are 11 or 12. I'd say that's kind of the average for these type of funds. But like SPY-I is even a little bit safer. You want the vol to be lower. I mean, and so anyway, SPY-I is only a 9 vol. Meaning it's a little bit safer on a relative basis, or a little bit less volatile, I guess. And Big E's at 10.8, and then we have XYLD's only a 4.5. That's extremely non-volatile. FTHI is an 8. JEPI is a 7. JEPI is known to be a steady fund, and you can sure see it in the metrics. And then SPIN's an 11, which is more like average. Then this SPUT 6.6. This SPUT is, if you're only going to pay me 5.5%, when I can go get twice that much easy with a dozen other funds, I better have hella yield. I mean, hella quarterly NAV, and the NAV's, all right, it's up 3.7, but I guess that NAV is 3.7 is actually some of the better NAV. The best NAV is XYLD, or the best NAV is SPIN. The second best is XYLD, and the third best is SPUT. So I guess it does have decent NAV, but just such a low yield. All right, so there's we could look at it that way. Volatility. Let's look at the stable DEX. It's just another way to look at volatility. So we've already basically looked at that. The most stable one's XYLD. It's just a different way to express the same thing. All right. Something I really like lately is, or I've always liked this, is I'm trying to think. It's either the MOX or the MOXY. One of these I like better than the other. Well, yeah, this one, the MOXY, Max's MOXY rating, I think is effective. What it looks at the 1 year total return. This is more of a long term. So you have to have been around a year, but a lot of these have been around a year. It looks at the 1 year total return, and it looks at the total return in terms of the volatility. And really, you have Big Y that was only a 10 on volatility, but that had 16% 1 year total return. That's pretty impressive. And I think most people would agree that Big Y and SPY-I are some of the safer funds out there, some of the better performing funds. Look at SPY on number 2 on the MOXY ranking, on the MOXY metric. And you have a 14% total return, not quite as good as Big I. So you were a little bit less volatile, but still the Big Y's ratio is a little better. But anyway, so that's Max's MOXY ranking. XYLD. T-SPY is also a good one. Look at T-SPY, 1 year total return of 14. That's not bad at all on a volatility of 11. That's not bad at all. All right, so that's Max's MOXY. Then we have the no BS ranking, which I really like, which is it's just yield times quarterly NAV return. But it pulls out. But anyway, and it likes SPIN. And how could you not like SPIN? A 9% quarterly NAV return? How did the MOXY ranking not pick up SPIN? But anyway, whatever. Spin is impressive at a 9%. Now, it doesn't have much yield, but it had a 13% 1-year total return. That's good. Average volatility. Anyway, so Spin wins on the no BS indicator. XYLD comes in second. SPUT comes in third. All right, are you guys ready to look at the short-term max factor, which is actually the best overall metric, but those other ones look at different things I also like to look at. The Moxie and the no BS one is just, the no BS one doesn't factor in risk to the equation. It's not risk adjusted reward, it's just reward. But the max factor is risk adjusted reward, and it is tax sensitive or tax aware risk adjusted reward is how the short term max factor or the sustainability index is figured. They're basically the same. Anyway, so short term max factor number one is XYLD. Hang on sustain it is 2. Well, okay, so editor's choice here. So why did the max factor is just such a panicking? It factors in safety. In XYLD, it's just super duper safe. All right, so the editor's choice tonight is going to be Spin. I think it elevated XYLD up to first place unfairly. I think Spin, based on this quarter, you have an 8% yield and you have the best NAV return of the bunch. Remember your NAV return. I mean, anyway, and it's important also. NAV return's important and also costs less on taxes. It has different considerations. But yeah, Spin is going to be the S&P based ETF of the night. And I think that's kind of amazing. I can't believe Spin out of all things. Let's take a look at old Spin. But things change and different strategies get hot at different times. I mean, that's a good looking chart. Look, they took back their March high in September or so. Not bad. And this is without dividends factored in. This is just the price. These dividends are all extra. I mean, the price is so solid on this with the NAV being up 9%. The dividends are like free money. Now, granted, they're only 8%, but then you're compounding your money, Anyway, all right. Spin is definitely editor's choice. Let's look at the website really quick. See what's going on here. And I'll answer questions in a second. I'm gonna take the dogs on a late night walk, but if you guys want to ask a question or make a comment or something, I'd be happy to entertain it. I was just wondering if we could get any. Oh, this is cool. Monthly commentary. This is a cool little feature some of these funds have. I can't read words. It just is kind of the highlights of the chart of the month. Spins 12-month dividend yield. That's interesting. Yeah, look at this 12-month dividend yield. So, of course, it goes. No, what? Has Spin been around since 1970? What are they saying? Do you guys see that? Anyway, I guess I need to look into that on my own time. I just wanted to check into what Spin was about. Since inception, Spin has returned 17.96 on an annualized basis, with a lower relative standard deviation to the S&P 500 index. So that's pretty good. Better risk-adjusted reward. Spin has an up-down capture ratio of 0.88 since inception, alongside elevated income generation at a time when broader market yield is almost at an all-time low. Upside to downside capture. That means they capture 88% of the upside and 100% of the downside. I think that's what 88 means the ratio is. And so obviously 100, you want 100 or above. All right, so what's going on over here in the comments? You guys are talking about Philly. You stood almost like living next to a theme park. Yeah. Uh, okay, Willa, or will you, or something. Hey, Max, thanks for doing these videos. Glad to be able to catch a few live. Yeah, thank you so much for leaving a comment. I believe you may be a first-time commenter, but I appreciate it. Dividend Degenerate, we'll talk to you in the morning. I'm about through on stuff to say. I was just going to talk about these a little bit and answer a question or two, and then all right, Bitcoin's up. Bitcoin futures are up. S&P futures are up. NASDAQ futures are up. Let's check out volatility futures. VIX. They're down. Well, hopefully by the morning we'll be at a new all-time high. I've got to do my rebalance tomorrow also. I've got to get my rebalance done before the weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happens in Iran tomorrow after the market closes. They'll wait till Friday night to do stuff. Anyway, I want to get my rebalance done before then. So, yeah, lots of crypto buzz lately. Correct. All right. Well, you've commented. Oh, yeah, maybe. Okay. I'm sorry. Your name's Will. Okay. Which I correctly. Okay. You're right. I'm the one that favors NAV protection. Try to avoid funds that overpay. Okay. Well, I'll remember you next time. Yeah, that's a good question. Are you in the Discord? Marcus is one of the moderators in there. But anyway, if you aren't, feel free to apply and join. I don't know how to get you a link, though. Well, anyway, I don't think I give out links anymore. You have to ask for a link. And then you have to talk to Marcus or Mark or somebody in Discord. We have to make sure you aren't a bot. Okay, Lucifer. Kick ass. Well, anyway, thanks, Will. Thank you so much for leaving a comment. And yeah, thank you for being here live. I know the show times have been inconsistent lately, or especially last week, but anyway, they've been getting more regular, and so I'm getting back in the hang of it. So I expect to do a show tomorrow morning about, at normal time. And then at some point I'm going to have some content on when I'm going to show what I do with my rebalance. But first I have to decide what I'm going to do. So I'll have that content on tomorrow too. What I bought. And I try to rebalance the portfolio every quarter. I looked the other day and I was up like 5% since inception. Unfortunately, the market over the same time is up like 12%. So I'm trailing the market, but the model portfolio is up. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching the replays and doing all that stuff. Remember, guys, it's not financial advice. It's consult your own planner who can give you good advice, legal advice, and mainly legal advice, but then also effective advice, because I don't know you and your situation. He'll know you and your situation. Also, if you'd like to support the station, you can always go to paypal.me/maxconvexity and leave a donation there. And outside of that, barring any last minute comments, what's smart? You want to talk about futures right now? Marcus wouldn't mind a discussion on futures. It feels like a lot of people are scared of it. There's a lot of, futures ETFs. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You guys have been talking about that in Discord a bunch. Maybe let's hit that up. Well, yeah, no, I know it. I'm with you on it now. I was just wondering. I was going to say, what I was going to say next is let's hit that up some more in the morning when more of our Discord regulars are there, or, in the morning. Cause I saw that. I saw the discussions you guys had with regards to CTA and, HARD, HARD, and I actually caught up on all the Discord today, and I read all the old messages, or most of the old messages. But yeah, so I saw that. But we should, and also Tom's kind of the guy. Tom's been a front runner on that. I mean, Tom told me about CTA a year and a half ago. Now, I knew about CTA, but the idea of CTA is, and if you, especially as you guys know, if you see inflation, you want some type of exposure to some kind of hard commodities or whatever, and that's what CTA strategy does. But I love all those alternatives you put. I was just thinking I could turn that into a good video, but I'm so far behind on making content. But I could go in there and talk exactly what you guys were talking about, Marcus. Go in there and copy and paste it into AI, and then have AI write me a script or something and turn it into a content. But you guys did a better job than I could. But yeah, we should. I guess you know, if you're counting futures as gold and silver, people don't really seem to be that scared of gold and silver futures or ETFs of gold and silver. I mean, everyone in our Discord has some gold and silver right now, right? I mean, um, so. I'm just a trend follower. You know, futures are hot this year, so I have gold and silver. But next year, if utilities are hot, I'd find something with utility. That's kind of the idea of the max factor, and that's why it just looks at the short time frame. Is I'm trying to keep the ones in front of me and you guys that are the hottest ones at any given moment. So anyway, all right, guys. But yeah, we should definitely follow up more on that as well. Maybe we'll talk about that some more in the morning. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to you later.